The city hums like a restless machine. Neon lights flicker against glass towers, traffic horns echo in the distance, and the glow of countless screens paints tired faces in shades of blue. Somewhere on the 20th floor of an office building, a young woman sits frozen in front of her laptop. Her inbox overflows, her heart races, and her mind refuses to quiet down. She checks the time to 14 a.m. Tomorrow, another meeting, another deadline, another cycle of exhaustion. Now, imagine her ancestor, centuries ago, a monk in a silent temple, kneeling on cold stone, eyes closed as incense smoke curls into the air. Around him, only stillness. His heartbeat is steady, his breath deep, his mind calm. The world outside the temple walls may be chaotic, but within, there is balance. What separates the woman in the office from the monk in the temple? Not time, not destiny, but one simple, forgotten practice: mindfulness. And here rests the question that lingers for all of us: if ancient wisdom once showed humanity how to find peace in storms far greater than ours, why do we, in the most advanced age of history, feel so restless? Tonight, we'll journey into mindfulness not as a trendy buzzword, but as a timeless survival skill. Centuries before the first office tower pierced the skyline, long before phones buzzed with endless alerts, human beings wrestled with the same storms of the mind. The tools of stress may have changed, but the weight of iterating thoughts, the sleepless nights, the gnawing restlessness was already well known to those who walked the earth thousands of years ago. In the mountains of China, Taoist sages spoke of Wu Wei, effortless action, not laziness, not apathy, but the art of moving with the current of life instead of thrashing against it. They believed that stress is born when we force the world to obey us, when we resist the natural flow of things. Picture water rushing through a riverbed. Place your hand against it, and the current pushes back, exhausting you. But loosen your hand, let it glide, and suddenly you are carried with ease. Meanwhile, Zen monks in Japan turned mindfulness into an art form. They sat for hours, still as stone, learning to watch thoughts rise and fall like clouds drifting across the sky. To them, stress was not an enemy to be crushed, but a visitor to be acknowledged and gently let go. Even the act of sipping tea, sweeping the floor, or arranging flowers became a meditation, a reminder that peace was never far away, only hidden beneath layers of noise. And in the Western world, Stoic philosophers echoed the same truth. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome and ruler of millions, wrote by candlelight, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." For him, mindfulness was not escape, but armor. Amid war, betrayal, and political chaos, he returned again and again to the discipline of controlling his attention, focusing on what he could shape and releasing what he could not. Different lands, different languages, different symbols, and yet one shared discovery: the mind can be a prison, or it can be a sanctuary. The key is attention. But here's the paradox. In ancient times, people sought mindfulness because they had space silence, darkness, seasons that slowed them down. Today, we seek mindfulness precisely because silence is gone. Our minds are like cities that never sleep, filled with traffic and alarms, which raises the question: can ancient practices still work in a world that looks nothing like theirs? The sages would say yes, because stress is not a product of the world, but of our response to it. Why did ancient sages place such importance on mindfulness? Because they knew what we often forget. The human mind is a wild horse. Left untamed, it runs wherever fear, anger, or desire pull it. But with gentle training, it becomes a companion, carrying us across the roughest terrain. For Taoists, mindfulness was not a luxury, it was survival. A farmer who clung to worry over storms could lose his harvest, but a farmer who breathed, observed, and adapted would endure. Their parables remind us: when you fight the flow of life, you break. When you bend with it, you live. In Buddhist practice, mindfulness was medicine for suffering. 2.5 millennia ago, Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, described what he called the second arrow. The first arrow is pain, it strikes all of us: illness, heartbreak, loss. The second arrow is the mind's reaction: worry, resentment, endless replaying of what we cannot change. We cannot always stop the first arrow, but mindfulness allows us to dodge the second. By noticing the story our mind is spinning, we choose not to let suffering multiply. The Stoics, far from the mountains and temples of Asia, echoed the same truth in the marble halls of Rome. For Marcus Aurelius, Mindfulness was not sitting cross-legged in silence, but a daily discipline, keeping a journal, questioning each thought, and returning to what truly mattered. His empire could be crumbling, generals betraying him, friends dying, yet in his private notes, he reminded himself, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." A call not to panic, but to presence. Across traditions, mindfulness meant one thing: returning the wandering mind to the present moment. But why is that relevant now, in the 21st century? Because our minds are more restless than ever. Ancient people feared wild animals, famine, or invaders at the gates. We fear emails, traffic jams, bills, deadlines, and 1,000 tiny interruptions that never let us breathe. Their world was dangerous, but punctuated by silence. Ours is safer in many ways, yet relentlessly noisy. A recent study by the American Psychological Association found that 3 out of 4 US adults report feeling so stressed that they cannot function at least one day a week. Gen Z and millennials, raised in the glow of constant notifications, report higher anxiety levels than any generation before. Stress has become our background music, so constant we almost stop noticing until our body breaks under it. And so we circle back to the wisdom of the past. The Taoist farmer, the Zen monk, the Stoic emperor, though separated by oceans and centuries, hand us the same tool: train the mind, notice the breath, step back from the storm. It may feel too simple. How can something as small as pausing to breathe or observing your thoughts compete with the crushing weight of modern life? Yet that is the secret. Mindfulness does not erase the storm. It teaches you how to stand in the rain without drowning. A monk once asked his Zen master, "Master, what is enlightenment?" The master replied, "When hungry, eat. When tired, sleep." The monk frowned, "But doesn't everyone do that?" The master smiled, "Not at all. Most people eat while thinking of 100 things, and they sleep while dreaming of tomorrow's worries." That was centuries ago. Yet, if we look at our lives today, we see the same struggle. Take the nurse driving home after a 12-hour shift in a US hospital. Her body aches, her eyes blur with exhaustion, but her mind will not stop replaying the day, the patient she couldn't save, the words she forgot to say, the stack of paperwork waiting tomorrow. She pulls into her driveway, walks into her living room, and barely remembers how she got there. Her body was driving, but her mind was somewhere else. Or picture a college student in New York, scrolling TikTok at 3 a.m. Her assignments are due, her room is messy, her heart feels heavy, but her thumb keeps swiping, desperate for distraction. Minutes turn into hours, and though her eyes burn with fatigue, her mind refuses to rest. Now contrast these scenes with an ancient one. A Taoist farmer wakes before dawn, walks to the river, and kneels to scoop water into a wooden bucket. As he lifts the bucket, he notices the reflection of the moon shimmering on the surface. He pauses, noticing breath, water, light. The task is the same as yesterday and the day before, but in that pause, life itself feels sacred. Here lies the lesson. Stress pulls us out of the present moment. Mindfulness returns us to it. Imagine you're stuck in traffic on the I-405 in Los Angeles. Cars crawl forward like molasses, horns blare, and your chest tightens. Normally, your mind would spiral. "I'll be late. My boss will be furious. Why does this always happen?" Stress builds until your knuckles whiten on the wheel. But now, try what the Zen monk would. Notice the breath, the hum of the engine, the rhythm of red brake lights flashing like a pulse across the freeway. The situation hasn't changed. You're still late. But instead of drowning in what you can't control, you find a pocket of calm within it. Or consider a young father in Chicago, balancing bills, work, and family. He comes home exhausted, yet his little daughter tugs his sleeve, asking him to play. His instinct is to half-engage scrolling his phone while pushing toy blocks with one hand. But then he remembers Marcus Aurelius. "You could leave life right now." So he sets the phone down. He kneels on the carpet, looks his daughter in the eye, and for 10 minutes builds towers of joy. Stress dissolves. The present moment reveals its weight. This too is mindfulness. Even something as ordinary as washing dishes can become practice. The warm water against your hands, the smell of soap, the gleam of clean plates stacked one by one. Most of us rush through our minds on what comes next. But monks would say, this is it. Life is not waiting at the end of the to-do list. It is here, in the foam, in the small motions. Mindfulness does not remove deadlines, bills, or traffic. It does not cure grief or erase responsibility, but it changes the lens through which you face them. The storm still rages, but you no longer cling to every gust of wind. You step back, notice, breathe, and in that pause, stress loosens its grip. So how do we take the wisdom of monks, sages, and emperors and apply it to the chaos of our own lives? Let's start small. Right now, wherever you are, take a slow breath in, feel your lungs expand, then let it go. That's it. That single act, one conscious breath, is mindfulness in its purest form. The Buddha himself taught that the breath is an anchor. When storms of thought threaten to carry you away, you return to the breath, again and again. It's not about controlling thoughts, it's about watching them drift by, like leaves on a stream. Next, a Zen monk sweeps the temple floor, and in that simple act, finds peace. We can do the same in the middle of our day. The next time you pour coffee, close your eyes for a moment and notice the warmth of the mug. The next time you walk to your car, feel your feet press against the ground. These pauses don't take time, they give it back, reminding you that life is happening now, not in the next meeting or next notification. Remember the second arrow. Stress is often the second arrow, the story we tell ourselves after pain strikes. When you spill coffee on your shirt before work, you can curse, panic, and imagine your whole day ruined, or you can laugh, change, and move on. The spill is the first arrow. Your mind's reaction is the second. Mindfulness means noticing that choice point and choosing not to shoot yourself twice. Practice digital mindfulness. Our phones are temples of distraction. But even here, we can practice. Before opening an app, pause. Ask yourself, why am I reaching for this? If it's boredom or stress, breathe instead. Even setting a 5-minute timer to scroll consciously can transform the experience from automatic to intentional. Bring gratitude into presence. The Stoics often reminded themselves that life is fragile. When Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now," it was not to frighten, but to awaken gratitude. Try this. When you hug someone you love, pause for 2 seconds longer. Feel the weight of their presence. Notice the fleeting gift. Stress loses its power in the face of gratitude. And don't forget nature. The Taoists learn from rivers, winds, and trees. So step outside, even if it's a 5-minute walk in a city block. Notice the way leaves shift in the wind, or how clouds drift in silence. Nature is mindfulness made visible. It teaches us without words. These practices are not about adding more to your to-do list. They are about subtracting the noise. Stress thrives on autopilot. Mindfulness cuts through it, one moment at a time. And here's the deeper truth. Mindfulness doesn't ask you to become someone else. It asks you to return to what you already are aware, alive, breathing. Beneath the chaos, there is stillness. Beneath the noise, there is peace. So here we are, you and I, at the end of this journey through ancient temples, Roman palaces, and modern city streets. And yet the real journey is just beginning, because mindfulness is not a theory, not a philosophy to admire from afar. It is a practice, a choice, a return to yourself. The nurse in the hospital, the student in her dorm, the father building blocks with his child, they are not so different from the Taoist farmer or the Zen monk. Each of them stands before the same question. Will I live this moment, or will I miss it? Stress will not vanish. Life will not slow down for us. But in every breath, we are offered a doorway, a way back home. So try it tonight, tomorrow, even now. One mindful breath, one moment of presence, one act of gratitude. And if you felt something stir within you today, share it. What practice are you willing to try? Leave it in the comments below, because your answer might be the spark that inspires someone else. This is how ancient wisdom lives again through us, here, now.